I'm RANAJOY. Today I'll talk about tenses in conditional sentences. So here I'll talk about how tenses, obviously we know tenses, and in conditional sentences or those type of sentences where there's a chance or there's a condition and of some event and that is happening in the sentence. Yes, there's a condition. You can basically describe it as a condition, which means it's some sort of a rule in that sentence, or you can describe it as a possibility, a sentence where there's a possibility of something. And I'm going to talk about the tenses as in it. See here, there are three kinds of conditions. So tenses are the conditions here. So there are three kinds of conditions here. So here the first one I want to talk about here is open condition. So the first one here is open condition. This is the first kind. So open condition, that is a common condition and which may or may not be fulfilled. Now here this one is simple. It describes as a condition or event that may or may not be fulfilled. Yes, it's basically like if it not, that thing cannot be, that thing is fulfilled. So the event of that happens or may or may not happen in that sentence. That is simple, obviously. For example, if it rains, the match will not be played. So here is the sentence. If it rains, the match will not be played. So here is this describing about a match. But here is the first one. So here, and the first thing is the condition here. Alright. So here the first one is the condition here, the first part. So here it is if it rains. So it's describing that it may or may not rain, and which is being talked about. Here, if it rains, the match will not be played. So if it does rain, and then the match will not be played. But if it rains, then the match will not be played. But if it doesn't rain, then the match will be played. But here we are not sure about the rain. We don't know now whether the rain and will actually happen, whether it will rain or not. We are not sure. So we don't know of the fact if or if not it will rain. So here, if it rains, the match will not be played. It's describing uncertainty. So here we do not know if it rains or not. It's a condition, obviously. See here, that is open condition, but here are some notes here. Open condition is very big here. So here the first note, that is if the reference is to be a present, or if the sentence or the reference is talk about the present, then both the conditional part of the sentence, for the condition and the main clause of the sentence, it will be present in the present tense. So if the sentence is being referenced to the present, then both the condition and the main clause will be in present tense. For example, if water freezes, it turns to ice. So here's this one. If water freezes, it turns to ice. So here, since it's talking about how the present, since the sentence or the reference is the present, then both the condition and the main clause will be present. So if water freezes, this is present, it turns to ice, this is also present. And that is the first note. Now there are several notes here. So now if the reference is to the future, now here if the reference is to the future, then the present tense, so the present tense is used for the condition and part of the sentence, and future will be the part of the main clause. Alright, so if the sentence is being referenced to the future, then the condition part of the sentence, the conditional part of the sentence will be present, and the main clause of the sentence will be future. That is another rule here in open a condition. For example, if I have time, I shall visit the exhibition. So here's one. If I have time, I shall visit the exhibition. So here the condition of the sentence here, if I have time. So here this is present, or actually not present, and here alright, so here if I have time, I shall visit the exhibition. So this is actually present tense. I think that here this is actually, there is have in this part, so it must be different. Well, no. Well, have is also used in present tense sometimes. So if I have time, I shall visit the exhibition. I shall visit the exhibition obviously refers to the future tense. So that is another rule. If the sentence refers to the future tense, then the condition will be present and the main clause will be future. Now when the main clause gives an order or an next instruction, order in instruction, or any sort of task, the future tense is of course replaced by the imperative. So here when the main clause gives sort of like an order, instruction, a task, any sort of task given like strictly, then instead of the future tense, then it will be replaced by the imperative. So here I will write a sentence for you. If it rains, tell him, or actually not tell him, remind him to take his okay, there we go. To take his umbrella. So if it rains, remind him to take his umbrella. So here the first part, that is the conditional part here. If it rains, remind him to take his umbrella. So the second part here, there is the imperative part of the sentence. So obviously the future tense is replaced by the imperative, basically order, instruction, task, remind him to take his umbrella. This is basically an order and sort of task given. Now another note here is if the reference is to the past. So if the reference is to the past, there are a lot of references here. So we have talked about present and future. Now for past. If the reference is to the past, two patterns are possible here. There are two ways to write the sentence here. The first one is if the reference is to something that is general or habitual, the past tense is used in both clauses. So if it's used to describe something which is general, habitual, or something that is done a daily, basically a habit, it's a common thing done by mostly everyone, something simple, then the past tense is used in both clauses. See here, if the commissioner received any complaints he himself investigated them. So if the commissioner received any complaints, he himself investigated them. So here it's talking about something habitual, obviously. So it's describing he himself will have investigated those complaints received to the commissioner. That the commissioner himself will investigate them or investigated them. The past form is used here in both of them, received, investigated. Now that is the first one. Now the second one is if the reference is to a specific occurrence or situation in the past, then the past tense is used in the conditional clause and the future is in the other. So here if it talks about something specific in the past, like a special event, like a specific event that happened in the past, then the past tense is used in the conditional part and the future tense is used in the main one, the main clause. For example, we decided that if it was fine we would play the match. Alright, so now here's this one. So here if the reference is to a specific occurrence, like a specific situation in the past, then the past tense is used in the conditional clause and the future is used in the other clause. So here, even though it doesn't look like the future in the second clause, it actually is. So don't get confused. So that is the past done. Now for the next rule here is that double future is used for cooperation and requests. So if there are two situations described in a sentence, then it's usually if for cooperation and or requests, or something which is done together with two people, or it can also be a request. For example, if you find the purse, I will reward you. So here, if you find the purse, I will reward you. So here the first one is, if you find the purse, I will reward you. It's obviously describing in a future situation. And here, if you find the purse, it's describing someone that if they find that specific purse, then I will reward you. And then the speaker will reward that person. These are both future situations. So that is double future. And the final rule for open condition is, now notice this polite usage. So here there is also a polite usage, or it is expressed politely. For example, I should consider it a favor if you would lend me your scooter. So here's this one. I should consider it a favor if you would lend me your scooter. So it sounds polite, obviously. I should consider it a favor. Obviously, this is expressed in a polite way. Yes, that is also another rule of open condition. So those are the rules of open condition. It has a lot of rules, even for one kind. Now for the second kind here, yes, that was only one kind. Rejected condition. So here is rejected condition. It is a condition which might have been fulfilled but is not. The main clause has the future, a past, or conditional, a tense. So it is a condition which might have been fulfilled, something that might have been fulfilled but is not. Yeah, it could have been fulfilled, but it has not been fulfilled. So that's why it's called rejected. So let me write a sentence. If I had time, I should have visited the exhibition. So if I had time, I should have visited the exhibition. So it's describing something which might have been fulfilled but is not. So here you might be confused with the had. Yes, had can also be used before had. That is also another writing, another part of grammar. If I had time, this is grammatically correct. So don't get confused. So anyways, if I had time, I should have visited the exhibition. So he is describing something, I should have visited the exhibition, but it's also describing that it has not been fulfilled. So that's why if I had time, it's describing something or a condition that if it was fully done, then the main thing could have been done, but it is not. So that is rejected condition. Now the final kind is imaginary condition. Imaginary condition. Now the meaning is quite simple. You can tell by the name, imaginary. That is one which could not be true, or something which is imaginary. Obviously, something that's not true. Or it's used to describe a condition which is not true and which is describing something. Let me write a sentence for that. if I were you, I should buy, no, not that buy that car. So if I were you, I should buy that car. Or actually not that, A, but still is correct. So if I were you, I should buy a car. So here, if I were you, that is the main and clause used here, the condition in the measure any condition. Now obviously you cannot be someone and describing, and so you can be the one that you are describing. Obviously, if I were you, it's basically describing something that you could have done if you were them. So if I were you, I should buy a car. So if the speaker was that specific person that they're talking about, then they should have bought a car. So here that is pretty simple, imaginary, not true, but still it describes something. Alright, so those are all the tenses in conditional sentences. Alright, so that's all for this video. Bye.